Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am telling you a story about an orphan boy. So let's start. The 41st story, The Pursuit and the Escape. Toby Crackit, Mr. Chitling, and Cags sat perplexed in profound and gloomy silence, huddled in a house in a Jacob's Island, the filthiest part of London. Toby expressed his annoyance to Chitling for having come to his aunt at the island. Toby Crackit turned to Chitling and said, "When did they take Fagin then?" "They took Fagin at dinner time, 2 o'clock this afternoon. Charlie and I escaped, but Bolter was arrested too." "And Bet?" "Poor Bet. She went to see the body," replied Chitling, "and became so violent that they took her to the hospital." "What's become of young Bates?" demanded Caggs. "He'll be here soon," replied Chitling. "There's nowhere else to go to now." "The sessions are on," said Caggs, "if they get the inquest over. The bolter turned king's evidence. Fagin will be hanged in 6 days from now." Suddenly, Sykes' dog jumped into the room through an open window. "What's the meaning of this?" said Toby. "He can't be coming here. I hope not." "If he was coming here, he would have come with the dog," said Caggs. Suddenly there was a hurried knock at the door below. "Young Bates," said Caggs, looking angrily round to check the fear he felt himself. The knocking came again. The dog was on alert in an instant and ran whinnying to the door. Crackit went down to the door and returned, followed by Sykes. Blanched face, sunken eyes, hollow cheeks, bird of 3 days' growth, and wasted flesh. It was the very ghost of Sykes. He sat down wearily on a chair. "Tonight's paper says the Fagin look. Is it true or a lie?" "True. Damn you all," said Sykes, passing his hand across his forehead. "Have you nothing to say to me?" "You may stop here, if you think it's safe," returned the person addressed after some hesitation. "Is it the body? Is it buried?" They shook their heads. "Why isn't it?" Sykes retorted with the same glance behind him. "Who's that knocking?" Crackit came back with Charlie Bates behind them. "Toby," said the boy, falling back, as Sykes turned his eyes towards him. "Why didn't you tell me this downstairs?" "Let me go into some other room," said the boy, retreating still further. "Charlie," said Sykes, stepping forward, don't you know me?" "Don't come near me," answered the boy. The man stopped halfway and they looked at each other, but Sykes' eyes sunk gradually to the ground. "Witness you three. I'm not afraid of him. If they come here after him, I'll give him up. I will." Pouring out these cries, the boy threw himself upon the strong man and brought him heavily to the ground. Sykes pinned him down when Crackit pulled him back with a look of alarm and pointed to the window. There were lights, loud voices, and tramp of hurried footsteps, with the noise of hoofs rattling on the uneven pavement. The door was knocked loudly. "Help!" shrieked the boy. "He's here! Break down the door! Break down the door!" screamed the boy. Sykes dragged the boy and locked him in a room. A voice rose. "20 guineas to the man who brings a ladder." The nearest voices took up the cry and hundreds echoed it. "The tide!" cried the murderer as he staggered back into the room and shut the faces out. "The tide was in as I came up. Give me a long rope. They are all in front. I may drop into the folly ditch and clear off that way. Give me a rope, or I shall do 3 more murders and kill myself." The panic-stricken men pointed to where such articles were kept. The murderer, hastily selecting the longest and the strongest crowd, hurried up the house top. Creeping over the tiles, he looked over the low parapet. The water was out and the ditch a bed of mud. The crowd raised a cry of triumph. It echoed and re-echoed. It seemed as though the whole city had poured its population out to curse him. The people pressed from the front, on and on, in a strong struggling current of angry faces. People climbed every housetop. Each little bridge bent beneath the weight of the crowd upon it. "They have him now!" cried a man on the nearest bridge. "Hooray!" The crowd roared. Still hopeful of escaping, he set his foot against the stack of chimneys, fastened on end of the rope tightly and firmly round it, and with the other made of strong noose, using his hands and teeth almost in a second. He let himself down by the cord when he lost his balance and tumbled over the parapet. Noose was on his neck. He fell for 35 feet. There was a sudden jerk and then there he hung. The old chimney quivered and the murderer swung lifeless against the wall. A dog ran backwards and forwards on the parapet with a dismal howl and jumped for the dead man's shoulders. Missing his aim, he fell into the ditch and struck his head against a stone, falling dead. The boy under lock and key shouted to be taken out.